even though it would have been wonderful to be able to say, hey, I placed this song with Kanye and Tiana and got that bag, I felt like my freedom was more important. I felt like not hastily signing a contract was more important. And because I didn't hastily sign, I didn't get that opportunity. And I'm okay with that. I think that as an artist, we have to, for ourselves, not telling anybody that they can't, that they should do what I did. But I think that every artist, especially as a Christian, we have to have boundaries and draw lines for ourselves of things that we're going to accept and things that we're not going to accept.
Lordy, Lordy, we like to party, to party, to party. We like to party.
Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Personal Pizza Party Show. My name is Jada. I am your host, the creative Chicago native who pizza. This show is for the creatives who aren't afraid to get a little personal about life, faith, relationships, health, and a whole lot more. This is where we share a slice of life. Work to the necklace. Now, if you want to show love to the show, two things. Subscribe and follow us on the gram. Either one, it'd be awesome. Over here, we really appreciate that. Today's guest is someone I've known as an artist, but she's originally a producer and has really been making noise with her producer tag business, which has been thriving. I see you, sis. We love a girl who's got her own.
I love her 'cause she got her own.
So pleased to introduce Louisville native, artist, producer, creative entrepreneur. Joining the party today is Kriss Liss. If you aren't familiar with the dopeness, rawness, creativeness that is Kriss Liss, watch this. I was rhyming.
You didn't know I love you so. If you didn't know, now you know. Hey, be my hubby, he ran that ring, not just me. Everything's now what we think, and I know that life is fleeting. I've been chosen, I'm chosen by a true king.
So that was the one and only Kriss Liss doing what she do. You already know I gotta bring in my co-host. It would not be the Personal Pizza Party Show without it. Grab you a slice. This is episode 8 featuring Kriss Liss. Enjoy. I wanted to start with your production side. So just for like people who are unfamiliar, because obviously like I know about like your story and stuff like that. Can you talk about how you began pursuing music?
Mm-hmm. Music is a part of my family. I think everybody in my family, almost everybody, is musical. My mom, she's a choir director. She has been directing choirs since she was in her tweens. And my dad, he owned a recording studio, ran it out of his basement for a long time. And so I'd have my mom in one room trying to pick out parts for choir the next day when she was going to teach a song, and I'd be in there listening. And then I'd have my dad in the basement bringing hip hop artists in from the local scene, recording them and making beats in the basement. So I had those two sides. Since I was born, I've had those two influences, and I just picked it up. It just came naturally. I think I wrote songs. I started writing songs when I was around, I'd say 8 years old, just experimenting, just writing. And then I actually started producing on the actual software when I was around 12. My dad gave me this program called Cakewalk, and I don't even know if anybody remembers that anymore. But yeah, this program called Cakewalk, and I learned how to produce. Yeah.
Okay. And then I know that you also went to school for music, kind of near here, because I'm in Illinois, and you went to school in Indiana.
Yep. I went to Indiana University Southeast. It is as far as I know, the closest college to Louisville that has a music business program. And so I got a bachelor's in music business. And that was great that it was so close. I'm in Kentucky, and Indiana is like, it kisses the border. Louisville and where I went to school, it was very close. So I got to stay close to my studio here. And so I got to come home every weekend and produce and keep it going. And yeah, I am so grateful that I got that degree. Some of the classes were essential to what I do now. Like music law, that class was essential to the stuff that I know, you know, and the curiosity that I have for business and music, you know.
That's good. That like it's like applicable for you, because I've been finding that too. Like I have a journalism degree, so
Okay.
obviously, but yeah. And then what I thought was interesting too. So shout out to the More movement, because I watched your interview there, and what I kind of like was able to put together from that was that Glory came out like the year that you graduated, right?
Yes, it did. And that's
crazy.
Yeah, that song is honestly kind of a not like how it happened, like straight history, but kind of a description of what I went through in college, because I was offered a deal. It was a production deal. It wasn't a record deal like as an artist, but I would have been signed as a music producer with a subsidiary that was assigned to Def Jam. But I decided to turn it down. I just felt like the situation wasn't right for me. It wasn't the right time. I was in school. I would have had to drop out. I just felt like it just wasn't right for me. And it was the best decision that I made, because in me turning down that deal, it brought me a great deal of sadness. But that sadness drove me to God. And by the time I finished college, I knew that I wanted to be an artist who was going to make songs that glorified God, or at least gave the Christian perspective on things. And so I graduated with that in mind. And so it took me a while to get my groove, but one of the first songs I created when I graduated was Glory. And that was my debut single.
That's what's up. And then I found out too that you started out producing like just secular, like, you know, like non-Christian music. But one thing that I want to hop to with that is that like now you have a business where you offer beat tags. And so like for anybody who's unfamiliar with that, because I think that's so like interesting. How does like the service work?
Yeah, so a beat tag, some people call it a producer tag, is the little voice that you may hear at the beginning of a song or a beat that lets you know who the producer is. So what's a famous one? Like Rick Ross has Maybach music. You know, Maybach, it was Maybach music. And who else has a famous one? One of Metro Boomin's is, if young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. Like those little tags that let you know who produced the beat. I do those for people. I got into that when I was selling beats online. So before I pursued, I was secular at first. I was doing all secular music, and before I was pursuing a deal, which I was during those college years, I was selling beats online to anybody and everybody. And as a little side hustle, I was also making the producer tags or beat tags for the other producers who were selling in the community. And eventually I started selling more tags than I was selling beats. And so I decided to focus on the tags, and it's grown. It's grown over the years, and I still do it today.
Yes, so like and you have like different like packages and stuff, because I was looking at that. Like, what would you say is the best value in your opinion that people should go with?
Yeah, so if you're a producer, I think it depends on how much work you want to do. So I would say there's two different ones that I would recommend. If you're a producer who likes to add their own effects to a tag, then you should do my dry package, where you just I send you dry vocals, and then you can manipulate them however you want. But if you're somebody who wants something that's like ready to plug and play, like it's going to automatically sync to the tempo of your beat and just sound fire as soon as you put it in there, you should definitely get my super effects package, and you'll be ready to go.
Okay, I'm so glad that you explained that, because I was wondering, like, what does dry mean? Like, I don't know this stuff.
I know it is very technical. Yeah. But basically, it's just like raw vocals, no editing.
You wear a lot of hats. So like you produce, you're an artist, songwriter, and I just think this would be an interesting question. If you could create a pie chart of what consumes the most of your time currently between all of that, like what would you say like is like the most that you spend the most time on?
Right now, I'd have to say it's the producer tags. I spend a lot of time doing that. I don't even know if you wanted that to be a piece of the pie, but if this is the pie, producer tags is like, it's the pie, honestly, because of the time it takes to not only do the work, just the recording and the editing, but also the customer service. I've got like 11 channels of communication when you count Instagram DMs, Twitter DMs, 2 email accounts, 2 phone numbers, Snapchat, WhatsApp. Did I say WhatsApp already? I don't know, but like so many different channels and they all I get contacted at all those different channels every day for work. That is a lot of correspondence, especially when you take some time to talk to each person. I would like to change that though, honestly. And I'm actually in the process of working on maybe flipping that pie around to where I do more music.
Yeah. And I feel like you said this in your, in another interview that, like basically like producing or / like doing the beat tags is like your, just like what you do, like, for income, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it is, like you said, it's so interesting and I thank God for it. But yes, doing the producer tags is my full-time income.
Cool. That's what's up though. Like, just like seeing, like, especially of course, like just women in the CHH space and just like beyond, like just creating like businesses off of their creativity. Cause I know, Brie K, she has her site as well, like with her, beats.
Yeah. She's dope.
Yes, I really enjoy her stuff too. Yeah, because I had her and Kasiri on as well.
Yeah.
Who would you like to produce for that you haven't yet?
One of my favorite girls is Lex Divine.
Hey.
And we haven't really talked about it yet. But I've, in my own head, I've been thinking, man, if I could work with someone, and I'm not really trying to work with anybody huge or out of the stratosphere or anything like that. I'd rather work with one of my sisters or my brothers, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that I could really spend time with and know their heart. And so Lex Divine would be someone that I would definitely collab with. Yeah.
That's what's up, because I saw y'all did a collab on IG.
Yeah.
For March Madness.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yes, that was her idea. She's brilliant. So what we did was she had an idea to basically do a duet rap. And she wanted to have the idea be materialism, or, like the hot girl who wants to scam her and that kind of lifestyle. So she decided that she would take on the burden of being the hot girl. And I was going to be the girl who was trying to convince her that there was a different way of life that she could live. And so she recorded her part, I recorded my part separately, and she brilliantly synced them together with the beat, and it turned out wonderful.
So I don't know if this is like a similar thing, but in your bio, it says that your music uses alternative R&B sounds. Can you describe what alternative R&B is? Because, I mean, I probably know, but like, how would you describe it?
I would actually say that alternative R&B is probably the baby of neo soul, where what neo soul was for the early 2000s and late 90s is what alternative R&B is now for, I guess, contemporary versus contemporary R&B. I would say it's definitely a fusion, still just like neo soul, of funk and rock and of course hip hop and soul. But and I would say the thing about alternative R&B is that it includes more electronic elements, maybe some elements of techno or some more synthetic things that you might not have heard in neo soul.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. One thing that I was curious to know is, like, when it comes to music and like being an artist, where are you at musically, like in the season of your life?
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is so this is why music has been the most difficult thing that I have ever done. I think because I started out as a producer and a songwriter who was trying to write for whoever in the secular space. I never took the time to develop my own sound. I was writing to sound like another artist. And so even now, 5 years since I've been out of college, I'm still trying to find that niche that I fit into and that place where I want my sound to be. But I think I'm in a good place. I'm headed in the right direction. I believe I'm working on some music. I've got some stuff done that I think is putting me on the path that I want to be on. And so I'm excited to share it. I'm hoping that it'll come out to be an EP by the time it's all done. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Yes, and I wanted to ask because I know like on your Spotify you have like your 3 singles, and I'm familiar with Glory, Something Blue, which I love, and Pain Pills.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and then I know you've done your Kriss Liss Kills last year on IG, but you haven't had any singles. So I wanted to ask you just that, but I'm just glad to know that there's stuff on the way.
Oh yeah.
Not. But one thing that I meant to ask you a little bit earlier, I'm so glad I remembered. Like, where did your name come from, and like, how did you become Kriss Liss?
So my real name is Crystal, and there's kind of like a little fight about who named me Kriss Liss. My mom would say she named me. My grandmother would say she named me. But from what I know, it came from a little nursery rhyme that was sang to me as a baby. Instead of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, they used to sing Crystal Listle, Little Star. And so people would start calling me Crystal Listle, and it got shortened to Kriss Liss. And so my family nickname was Kriss Liss. And so I just decided to keep it and run with it.
That's so cute. And that's what's up. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
And it honestly reminds me of chrysalis.
Yeah.
For butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's anything else you wanted to add to it, but one of my other questions was just you started as a songwriter and producer. So do you find it easier or more difficult when producing your music or for others? I don't know if you had any more to add to that.
Let's see. It is difficult. I think that especially because I've actually never tried to produce music from my current worldview for someone else. When I was doing the secular music, I would say that I wasn't in the same place with Christ that I am now. And now I think that it's more difficult because I'm trying to be aware of theology. You know, when I make songs, I'm trying to be careful and cautious about saying things that are true, you know, because I take that responsibility upon myself to say things that are true. Even if I'm talking about an experience, I still want to say it in a way that glorifies God, you know. So I think that it's more difficult now as an artist to write, but man, I'm pushing through the challenge. I take on the challenge.
Yeah, you know what? I can totally see how, like, you just have to be a bit more thoughtful, like, with writing, just, like, music music, like, from, like, a faith perspective than not, you know, like, because, you know, like, just anything goes, like, you can say, you know, just anything, but when, like, you want to like put Jesus's name on it, essentially, yeah. Like you got to come correct. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Going back to your interview last year with the More movement, you talked about, and I don't know if this is the same situation where you said you had the production deal that you decided to not take, but you talked about almost selling one of your songs to Kanye West, but it wasn't a good contract. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you had like, if you wanted to share like, your thoughts about that and like any other details. And then I have like another part to that question.
Yeah. So first of all, shout out to Kanina. She's one of my really good friends. She's the creator and the owner of the More Movement podcast. And yes, it was the same deal. So there were a few different companies in between me and Def Jam, which would have been Kanye. And the ownership of my song and the proceeds, the royalties from that song would have had to funnel from Def Jam to another person, to another company, to me, and then to a manager. And the way that it was worked out, it was almost like what Megan Thee Stallion's going through. I don't know all the details of her contract, and I don't know if you're familiar that she was fighting her contract. She was in a production style contract And then that production company that she was under was then signed to the bigger label. Mine was sort of like that, except mine would have been, I was going to be signed to a production company that was then signed to the subsidiary of Def Jam. And then that subsidiary then had to answer to Def Jam. So I had a couple more layers in between. And so they would have been they were passing me through a whole bunch of different people. It was unnecessary. They lied to me during the contract process. And so I just felt like I didn't want to be in even the atmosphere of the companies, but yes, after I decided not to sign the deal, they told me that they had been shopping my music anyway and got a song to Kanye West. And he actually wanted to use one of the beats for, I believe it might have been Tiana Taylor. Was working on a project, and Tiana Taylor is signed to Kanye. But I don't know the details. They wouldn't tell me too much. They just wanted me to sign the paper. They were like, okay, we got this deal. You know what I'm saying? Well, okay, come on. You got to sign it. Send us the stems. Send us the individual tracks to the beat so that we can get this process rolling. And I was excited, but then I stepped back and I said, it just was not right. And even though it would have been wonderful to be able to say, hey, I placed this song with Kanye and Tiana and got that bag, I felt like my freedom was more important. I felt like not hastily signing a contract was more important. And because I didn't hastily sign, I didn't get that opportunity. And I'm okay with that. I think that as an artist, we have to, for ourselves, not telling anybody that they can't, that they should do what I did. But I think that every artist, especially as a Christian, we have to have boundaries and draw lines for ourselves of things that we're going to accept and things that we're not going to accept. And we have to be diligent about not crossing those boundaries, no matter how salacious, no matter how attractive the opportunity is. We need to stick to our guns, and hopefully the guns that we are creating, the boundaries we've created, are boundaries that we've created with God and in prayer and spent time thinking about, and hopefully we're doing it for his glory. And for me, I think that it glorifies him that I turned it down and decided through prayer and through fasting to take a route where my music would be touching people's lives.
Yo, I really hope you enjoyed this episode with Kriss Liss. Be sure to hit her up on social media right here. Also, hit her up for any of your producer, podcast, rapper, whatever tag needs. Let her know I sent you. If you enjoyed this episode of Personal Pizza Party Show, like this video, comment below, and subscribe for our next episode. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later.